I'm going to have a choice in the first week in August, and I promise I'll let you know when I do.
Everybody's waiting for it. Joe Biden is ready to pick a running mate. He made the comments earlier this week at a news conference in Delaware. The former U.S. vice president didn't say if he would make his choice public quite yet, but most insiders suggest he will before the Democrat National Convention slated for August 17. Biden said he will choose a woman, and there are so many to choose from. For more on this story, we've invited Christy Setzer onto the program. She's a Democratic strategist and president and founder of New Heights Communications, and joins us from Washington, D.C. Welcome to the program. Appreciate your time.
Sure. Thanks so much.
Okay, let's start. Who do you have your eye on as a potential running mate? Break it down for us.
I sure will. There's so many things for Joe Biden to consider. And obviously the things that he has said that are primary for him in his decision are someone who he feels would be a good partner, someone who would sort of be a loyal soldier in the way that he was for Barack Obama. But there's a number of other things that his campaign, I'm sure, is considering as well. One is, what do they bring to the table in terms of diversity of perspective? So Joe Biden comes from this sort of, moderate, safe, even centrist wing of the Democratic Party. Is it possible that he wants somebody who also comes from that wing? Or, and this is something that I would advocate for, should he choose someone who's more of a progressive, right? Who can excite the base of the party rather than being someone who's going to be able to reach out to Republicans and independents. So he's considering a lot of different factors. Is it somebody who could come from a swing state potentially? So someone like Stacey Abrams, say, who represents Georgia, or or Keisha Lance Bottoms in the same way, Val Demings from Florida. These are women who, would be able to not just put a state into play, but maybe put it over the top for him.
Now, is there anyone, if you were advising Biden, that you would rule out?
I don't know if there's anyone that I would rule out. I think that, they've made some really interesting choices. It's just a matter of, what priorities are going to come to the fore. I would say, though, from the perspective of a communications person, that there are certain picks that have been named who are a little bit easier for the Republicans to caricature than others. So, for example, Susan Rice, obviously National Security Advisor, has an amazing personal story, very impressive in a million ways, but is associated with that boogeyman of Republican politics, Benghazi, right? So I think, if you want to hear Benghazi for the next 90 days instead of COVID pandemic and cratering of the economy, then, she's going to give them a little bit more ability to do so. So they have to think about it not just from, again, the perspective of who does he get along with, who does he think would be a good partner, but also, is there anybody that's going to give Republicans an opening that they wouldn't otherwise have?
Yeah, that's something to think about for sure. What do you make of Elizabeth Warren?
Yeah. So I love Elizabeth Warren, and frankly, she would have been my personal pick for president, in the primary. But I don't think that she probably has that much of a chance as VP for a couple of reasons. One is Joe Biden has all but committed to picking a Black woman, of which she is not. She also does not bring geographical diversity, being from Massachusetts. So I think it's someone with whom he has a very good relationship. But I think at the end of the day, I think she doesn't bring enough diversity to the ticket.
So some polls have indicated that this election really is a referendum on Trump rather than that conventional race. If that's the case, will whoever Biden picks impact his electability?
Yeah, I mean, it is a referendum on Trump. Yeah. For any election in which there is an incumbent who is running for re-election is always, at least partly, and usually majority, a referendum on that person. And much more so this time with it being Donald Trump. So I suppose we could say that, on one level, the vice presidential pick doesn't matter that much ultimately, because it's not even so much about Joe Biden, let alone his VP pick. It's going to be about Donald Trump. However, there's a couple factors that would make it matter. One is the fact that Joe Biden, if he runs for re-election, will be 82 years old. And though his campaign wouldn't say out loud and shouldn't say out loud that he would be a one-term president, or at least that that's more of a likelihood than not, there's obviously more scrutiny paid attention to potential vice presidential nominees with that in mind, with the idea that they're, likelier than usual to take over, being as they are one heartbeat away from the presidency.
That's really fascinating. So then this is really hypothetical, but if you look way down the road, you could potentially see the first female president.
You sure could. You sure could. Look, I think that's one of the reasons, actually, that it's become so important for Biden to have to be looking exclusively at women as VP.
Christy Setzer, I want to thank you for your insights into this. We really appreciate it. It was really interesting.
Thanks so much.
Christy Setzer is a Democratic strategist and president and founder of New Heights Communications and joined us from Washington, D.C.